In the past few weeks, 5 high-profile bankers have died, all from apparent suicides. Tessa Alcilia investigates.
Their untimely deaths grabbed headlines, 3 of which happened within a week. Be it the big investment banks they worked for, the senior positions they held, the public nature of their deaths, or all 3, once again it raised questions about an industry largely blamed for bringing the global economy to its knees in the 2008 financial crisis.
Now Americans are faced with a citizen challenge, not at the levels of totalitarianism, but a very serious economic situation. Yesterday, the Government Accountability Office, the nonpartisan investigative arm of Congress, released its annual audit of the U.S. government. The report covers the fiscal years 2011 and 12. The conclusion of the report is this, quote, absent policy changes, the federal government continues to face an unsustainable fiscal path. Let me repeat that. Absent policy changes, the federal government continues to face an unsustainable fiscal path. If the feds do not stop the wild spending and do not reform Medicare and Social Security, the U.S. dollar will collapse. That means that all of our savings, all of our investments, our homes, and everything else will blow up.
The 20 bankers have recently been found dead. That's a fact. We've got the 4 or 5 known examples of banker suicides, and we've got reports now that up to 20 bankers have been found dead. So either A, these are bankers who were going to blow the whistle on Lloyd Blankfein, and he had him taken out, or these are bankers who have committed suicide because of the shame of being associated with Lloyd Blankfein.
How do you see a revolution happening in America?
Of us destroying these 2 political parties, of marginalizing them, taking them out of the system. We should have elections that don't have political parties, where you run as an individual and you don't have to be part of a gang in which to serve your country. You don't have to join a gang to do it. And that's what we need a revolution on. Both Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, and George Washington all warned us. They warned us, if you read what they wrote when they created the United States, they warned us that the downfall of the country, especially John Adams, said that it would be when political parties take over the government. Well, I think we're already there. You're seeing it right now at its best or worst, however you want to view it. They put their parties first. Look at all the decisions being made in Washington today. They're not being made for the benefit of the United States of America. They're being made for the benefit of the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. It's the 2 parties. And then who are they beholding to? They're beholding to their money people, the corporations. So we are really the United Corporations of America today, not the United States of America. That's the revolution I'm calling for.
Could the plane have soared straight past where they are searching in the ocean, crashing on dry land, or even landing safely? The closest island to the possible path is here, Palau Perak, but it is a tiny, rocky spot jutting out of the ocean. No likelihood of a landing. Further out, we reach the remote Andaman and Nicobar, a group of nearly 600 tiny islands and rocks, some popular with tourists. But only 37 of the islands are actually inhabited. The others are full of dense forest, but isolated. Beyond that, the vast Indian Ocean. But if the plane was flying for 4 or 5 hours, widen out the lens, and you see the plane could have reached as far as the jungles of Thailand, Myanmar, even the eastern coast of India. The plane had plenty of fuel to reach those locations, and experts say here in this remote part of the world, there are spots where radar doesn't reach.
Now, the search and rescue operations here in Kuala Lumpur are certainly in full force, but many are wondering if that plane was in fact traveling for hours from here, would some of this search be shifting in that direction, maybe even scouring the land? That, Diane, is a very big question.
The agonizing wait taking a terrible toll on the hundreds of families who still have no idea what happened to their loved ones. And with the wreckage still missing, speculation is swirling. Outlandish theories about the mysterious disappearance of Flight 370 surfacing all over the internet and social media. Aliens? An international kidnapping?
Okay, oddly enough, we just got this into CNN. There has been a 5.5 magnitude earthquake that struck right off the coast of the Andaman Islands. And of course, supposedly, according to Reuters, the Andaman Islands are the islands that missing plane was flying towards.
Russia is denying violating Ukrainian sovereignty. But many people here feel the presence of these unidentified troops is a strong message from the Kremlin about the power and influence of its reach. Alex Rossi, Sky News, Simferopol.
Well, in the last hour, the White House has again warned Russia not to intervene.
Today, Russia vetoed a UN resolution that declared Crimea's vote tomorrow to leave Ukraine as illegal. It shows Russia has no global support for its growing military presence in Crimea, but the Crimea region will be allowed to vote to join Russia, and they likely will vote to do that. The U.S. says it does not recognize that vote, though.
We just think that it's not the job of the United States to be going around deciding whose governments are legitimate and deciding the democratically elected government should be booted out of office.
Amid the tentative situation in Ukraine, Russia's defense ministry confirmed late Tuesday that it had test-fired an intercontinental ballistic missile earlier in the day. The ministry says the RS-12M Topol missile, launched from near the Caspian Sea, successfully landed its target in a remote area of Kazakhstan. The test was planned before the current crisis in Ukraine, and the U.S. was notified before the test. However, it adds to the undercurrent of tension between Ukraine and Russia. In a press conference with reporters Tuesday, Russian President Vladimir Putin said what happened in Kiev was unconstitutional overthrow, and his country has the right to use all means to protect its nationals under the current Ukrainian government, which he says is illegitimate.
If we see lawlessness starting in the eastern regions too, if people ask us for help, and we have already an official address from the current legitimate president, we reserve the right to use all options at our disposal to protect those citizens.
However, he stressed the use of military force would be the last resort in dealing with the crisis.
What can be a reason to use the armed forces? This is, of course, the last resort. Simply the last resort.
Good morning, George. There is a meeting today between John Kerry and Russia's foreign minister. It should be tense and frank, especially after that provocative missile launch. Was it a routine missile test or blatant show of force? That is the question many in the international community are asking this morning after Russia's intercontinental ballistic missile launch Tuesday. A test launch fired over the Caspian Sea and landing in a remote part of Kazakhstan.
It's time we woke up about Vladimir Putin. It's time that this administration got real.